Hello, you're tuned in to the Ethereal Kia YouTube channel. And today's topic that I wanted to talk about is, how do I put this? Um, Race, I guess. So I accidentally, I mean, it wasn't an accident, but somebody on Twitter, Vibe High, I don't know if y'all follow him or not, but he also goes by Hotep Jesus. He made a tweet talking about white men are desired for marriage, and black men are desired for sex, in so many words. That's the long and short of it, right? So I added on to that by saying that black men are desired for their innate power, their genetic power, and white men are desired for their accumulated power that they've established for themselves by force. And now I have a couple of triggered white people, basically like, well, what do you mean by that? What genetic power do black people have that white people don't have? And and it's like, we can act like it ain't what it is, but we know what it is. And if you don't, let me break it down to you real quick. And this is perfect for the sweatshirt that I'm wearing because all this information is inspired by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing and the ISIS Papers, which if you have not read, you should. If you don't know what it's about, I suggest you look her up, read some of her works, especially the ISIS Papers. If you're not into reading, check out some of her YouTube videos. There's plenty of knowledge out there about this concept, which is basically that genetically speaking, when we're talking about dominant genes versus recessive genes, black people have more dominant genes than white people. That's not a racist thing to say. It's just a fact. It is what it is. I mean, there's nothing nobody can do about it. It's nobody's fault. It just is what it is. If you look at the population globally of people, the majority of people on planet Earth are not white. They are something else. They are black, or they are Asian, or they are brown, or some type of, people would say people of color, meaning basically that they come from African descent. And some people will argue, well, all people come from African descent, even white people. And yeah, but white people there's something different about them. Some theories are that they are, like some alien race or some like reptilian race. Some theories are that they just have a genetic mutation. Either way, they are different than the rest of the people on Earth. That is just what it is. Like, it's not a bad thing or a good thing or something you feel like you got to take sides on. It's not that deep. Like, just calm down and, let's go through this. On a numbers type time, the numbers show in most countries, like if it's not Europe and it's not America, then those people who are indigenous to that place are more than likely not white. That's just what it is. Okay? So now that we've accepted that, let's move on. Okay? So I was actually just watching one of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's talks on YouTube the other day. And she mentioned the fact that, when white people started exploring the world, getting on boats and traveling across oceans and all of that, everywhere they landed, there were black and brown people. They got to Africa, black people. South America, brown people. North America, brown people. Anywhere, India. That's a subcontinent, but Asia, those people they're not black or brown per se as far as skin color right now, but, they're different. And we all know that Asians make up a large percentage of the world population, so if you go, you're traveling the world, seeing places for the first time, and everywhere you land, the people do not look like you. That lets you know that you are a minority on the planet, okay? That's just the facts. There's nothing positive or negative about that. It just is what it is. So, okay, fast forward to, slavery, Okay, sure. Africans sold their own people. Wonderful. Okay, slavery existed, before the, chattel slavery that was the North American, like, their version of it, which was a lot more brutal. Well, maybe not. I don't know. There's like facts, floating around that, the Arab slave trade was even worse. That's neither here nor there, honestly. My point is that the whole system of racism and race, the construct of race, being that, the understanding, the basic implication of it is that white is on top, black is on bottom. Everything else in between varies, your treatment in society, in the world, whenever you're subjected to something that is under the control of white people, is going to go by that system. They have established a system of global dominance, through conquering other peoples, and that was done with weapons and manipulation, religion, whatever else, tools. I think that the white brain is a little more, is more like calculative. And I think that for people of color and people who are, indigenous to the land, really, think more with their feelings, I guess, or like are more in tune with just the natural cycle and how things are naturally supposed to be. Like, we just have a natural, we're naturally aligned in some ways, more so with the earth, our surroundings. This is why we have rhythm. This is why, our cultures, indigenous cultures all over the place are like full of like colors and, just vibrant. That life, that vitality, that's just natural within us. And, I don't think that white people have that. Their history is a little bit different than ours. They have caveman history. We don't have cave people history. There is no, like, African, like, whatever. They'll try to say the monkey thing. I'm not even touching that because that's just not true. But white people are just different. They've developed differently. Their brains work a little bit differently because they have to for their survival on this planet where they are the global minority. And I think that pointing that out and showing that how that relates to racism and just understanding that, this whole system of racism and white people assuming their own superiority and, placing themselves in position to actually be superior to other people and, having the means of power and control to oppress other people based on the systems that they themselves set up, that is not a bad thing to point out. Like, is it messed up? I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to what you have to do to survive where you are, then it becomes a little more understandable why they would take, those certain measures, or why they would feel like they had to take those certain measures. And that false sense of superiority, that wouldn't be necessary if you were actually superior. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to set up systems, and you have to put things in place, and you have to actively hold people down. You have to actively, you can't have these rights, you can't do these things, you can't do this, you can't say this, or these are the consequences. Like, you have to impose yourself that way when you are insecure about your position. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get it. There's nothing to be upset about. We don't have to be emotional about it. It just is what it is. I don't think it's, and people are like, oh, why do you hate white people? I don't hate white people. I have no reason to. Why would I? I mean, yes, you done messed up things, over the span of your existence. But like I said, when it comes down to a matter of who's going to survive out here, if you know, even if it's not on a conscious level, if it's on a subconscious level, deep rooted in your biology, that you have to protect your genes. That's what the KKK was like built on. Like, oh shit, like all these black people, you know, if it's just a free for all, we're not going to exist anymore because their genes are more powerful than ours are. We will just not exist. Like there will be a class of light skinned people, and then that's it. Nothing else after that. There is no more white after that. And having to internalize that and still maneuver your way through a world where everywhere you turn there's somebody that doesn't look like you. You know, I get it. So, you know, it's really crazy how people try to like act like stupid. Like on one hand, it's like, okay, you know, you'll say, oh, on one hand, you know, people be like, oh, well, white people, you know, they came over, they stole this land, they raped and murdered and blah, blah, blah. And white people will take pride in that and be like, okay, well, you lost. It's ours now. You know, and then, but then when you say it, you know, in a way that's like, well, maybe it's because of this, like, you know, just offering a different perspective. Like, okay, yes, that's the outcome, but let's get back to the root. Now it's, oh, you racist. Oh, that's not what it is. Like, stop. You can't trick me, okay? Like, I'm not the one, okay? And I'm already set in my beliefs about that because it makes sense to me. Once I came across that, you know, the ISIS Papers by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, I was like, okay, all right, I get it. I mean, it makes sense. So, I mean, you don't have to agree with it. This is just my perception on it. And, you know, it is what it is. And I don't have to hate anybody. For what? That does nothing for me. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't put me in a better position. It doesn't give me more credibility. It doesn't do anything. So, hate for what? I don't have to do that. And I'm secure in myself. I know who I am. I know where I come from. So hate for what? I don't have to. I'm not, my existence is not threatened by anybody else's. And I don't know if white people can say that really, because genetically speaking, they're kind of the weak link. And like I said, there's nothing negative or positive about that. It just is what it is. When a white person, you know, dates outside their race or has babies with somebody outside their race, whether that's black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, it's going to look more like the other thing than it is going to look white. And that's always the case. And once they realize that, that's what triggered that, oh snap, like we got to protect our thing, because if we don't, we are just going to become a diluted version of everybody else. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's nothing to, you know, it's nothing to feel no type of way about. Once you understand it and you get how it works and where it comes from, you're in a lot better position to maneuver. You know, you start to understand why certain things happen. You start to understand why certain tragedies play out the way that they do, because you understand the root of it. You know, and people are always looking at what's on the surface, you know, trying to like that. And that's why, you know, appealing to morals has never worked. You know, not for any like long-term gain or anything. Like, whatever, you know, when people are in power, they never give up that power willingly. Ever. They never give up that power willingly. It has to be taken. White people know that. That's why they went around the world and took all the power from everybody else. And they created their own version of it so that they can have something to stand on, so that they can impose their will, so that they're not imposed upon. That's all it is, you know? So, I mean, you can take it how you want. You can call me what you want. You can feel whatever type of way you want about it, but that's my piece on it. And I don't know, leave some comments. Let's get a discussion started. Tell me what y'all think. What's up? That's today's topic. Let me know, and I'll be back tomorrow with something else. Peace.